My name is Monica Arce. I totally forgot to introduce myself this morning, so it's not a surprise. I am a coach with LuLaRoe. I've been doing this for 14 months. And just a little bit of backstory, what I did prior to LuLaRoe. I dabbled in a lot of things. I quit beauty school as a beauty school dropout. I had an Etsy shop, and I had like a lot of small, part-time, small business ventures that never really got anywhere, at least not scaling to where I wanted to be. And if I can just be completely candid, before LuLaRoe, I never really thought that, oh God, I really didn't think that I would ever be successful at something. I always thought that I could probably do some sort of career and climb my way up. I was in banking for 5 years before I started dabbling in my businesses, and I really didn't think that I would ever find it, and then enter LuLaRoe, and my life has been changed ever since. So, I actually found LuLaRoe through my best friend. We went to high school together, and I was, oh gosh, how pregnant was I? I was like 36 weeks pregnant when I launched. So I was a total insane mess, but I was so excited. And for those of you who are in the queue or who are new to the business, I love meeting you because I love feeding off of your energy, and I really do believe that I was able to launch while having a newborn because of that excitement. Like, you start making money, and you start selling things, and you're addicted to it. And I'm going to talk a lot about income-producing activities. I'm totally addicted to income-producing activities. So, but as you all know, you're here because you know what a great business opportunity this is. And I just applaud you for attending this event. I know every time I walk away from a LuLaRoe event, I walk away more inspired and ready to work my business. So I mentioned that I'm a coach with LuLaRoe. I never thought it would explode this quickly, and I mentioned I never thought that I would find success. And what I feel has really attributed to that is enduring and enjoying the type of suffering that we do as retailers. One of my favorite books that I read recently is written by Mark Mason, and it's called The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Flippity-Flip, but it's not called Flippity-Flip. And he talks about how there is no such thing as not suffering. Like, there's no such thing as perfection. So many of us are striving for happiness, or I'll be happy when, or I'll be happy if. And we usually leave in pursuit of that perfection, or pursuit of that happiness. So if we can just let go of the notion that happiness exists, and really focus and shift your thinking more towards what am I willing to suffer for, and what type of suffering am I willing to endure? Because nothing is going to be perfect. Nothing is ever going to be worth, like, there's no such thing as not. So for me, staying up until 2 a.m. invoicing, like, nobody likes to do that, but I'm willing to go through that suffering and it's worth it for all that I gain for being a LuLaRoe consultant. Do I like my life being put out on social media? Or think of all the things like, tough conversations and setting boundaries and having to do all of these hard adulting type things that nobody, like, that's not fun, but it's worth it for what I gain. So sacrifice. So I think a lot of the people who are leaving the business right now, they just, their fear, their why is, your why has to be greater than your fear. It has to push you past that pain and that suffering that you're enduring with this type of business. So if we can just kind of embrace that this business is never going to be perfect. LuLaRoe's not perfect. We're all human, and we're all going to go through obstacles and challenges, and that's just part of the process. Like, this is not a perfect opportunity, but it's a great one, right? Some other things that I feel have really propelled my success forward is focusing on income-producing activities and holding myself to a standard of grace, not perfection. And that kind of ties into what I just mentioned. So the business has really changed a lot. It's not the same. You can't just, like Terry mentioned, you can't just throw up clothes online and have them all sell. I'm sure you all know that. It's a lot harder. So you really, really, especially, now we're moving to the second part of the day more into online-focused activities. You really, really have to be good at making those personal connections with people, which is a lot more difficult through the internet. So setting boundaries, and then lastly and most importantly, and I'll try to elaborate on this in a little bit, but what has really helped my business is value-based marketing. Has anyone heard of that term before? I hadn't. So it's different than advertising, and it's different than marketing. So advertising and marketing, an example of that is, like Terry said, hey, I'm having a pop-up tonight. Hey, so I'm doing a live sale at 2 o'clock. Who's going to join me? Or blowing up your Facebook post with like, hey, join my group. Join my group. Can you add 10 friends to join my group? That's advertising. It's kind of spammy. It's not really effective. Value-based marketing shifts the focus off of you and puts the focus on who you are trying to connect with. You're moving that spotlight off of you and onto them. What value can you provide your audience and your viewers? And it's funny because I didn't realize that I was doing value-based marketing until after the fact. I started when I was in the queue making YouTube videos. And I really just did it for my own personal accountability reasons, because I thought if I make a video and say what my scary goal is out loud, then I have to manifest it and make it into reality. And I started documenting my journey, so my business plan and what I was doing to get ready for when I was going to onboard. And here's just basically verbalizing my plan for my business. And little did I know that people were going to watch it and actually find it useful and because there were other people like me considering the business opportunity, and they liked hearing that they weren't alone. So value-based marketing is not just useful for team building, which it has been. And the reason why that's so important is, let me ask you this. So if you were watching 2 different YouTube videos, if you were considering 2 different sponsors, and someone says, hey, join my team. Hey, I'm a LuLaRoe retailer. I'm awesome. Come join my team. Or if someone's like, hey, Javi, I see that you're a stay-at-home mom too. I'm really nervous. I can see that you're really nervous, and here's what I'm doing to prepare, and here's your business plan. Here's what I did for my launch to be successful. Try this. Here's how you can create engagement. You're actually giving them information, and you're never once saying, hey, join my team, be my sponsor. You're just giving. You're just giving. Who do you want to sign up with? The person who has established that rapport as someone who knows what they're talking about, and because you've given them that little bit, it doesn't have to be much, even just a little bit of information, it makes it so that you are a reputable source, and if something comes up in the future, they know that you may know the answer, or that they can ask you or come to you. So value-based marketing is really important. So that's the team building side of it. On the retailer side of it, the ways that we can implement value-based marketing. So again, advertising and marketing for a Carly sale is going on Facebook Live and showing your Carlys, right? Which, okay, you may sell a few Carlys, but if you switch it to value-based and you show them how they can style the Carly, you can show them 10 different ways to wear the Carly, you can transition it from summer into winter, and you're not even doing a Carly sale. People watch that short 10-minute video and they're like, how can I buy a Carly? They're asking you. So it's less sales-based and more value-based. So I'm going to go ahead and shift the focus into personal styling appointments, which to me is hugely value-based. So from the beginning, I have Cruise Qualified, which it's been fantastic. So to Cruise Qualify, you have to sell $12,000 or more in retail sales for 6 out of 8 consecutive months. So in the beginning, I was able to Cruise Qualify. Once I implemented personal styling appointments into my business, I was able to double Cruise Qualify every month. And then we're going to focus later and transition on to income-producing activities and delegating. And once I implemented that into my business, I triple Cruise Qualify every month. So, personal styling appointments. such a great opportunity. As I mentioned, this is upselling on steroids. And what's really important with personal styling appointments is to approach it not from a sales mindset, but ask yourself how you can serve your customer. And that's really hard because so many of us are, we hear all of these different ways to sell. Like today, you're hearing from different speakers and we're like, oh, I have to try this to sell, try this to sell. But if we can really shift our thinking into how can I serve and how can I add value, if we can really nail our job in doing that with styling, your customers won't be asking about the price tag, they'll be asking how quickly you can deliver it to their doorstep. So the first thing that you want to do if you are interested in implementing these into your business is to present yourself like a stylist. So I'm sure many of you have seen other retailers out there who get on Facebook Live and it looks like they just rolled out of bed. And imagine what it would be like if I walked up here and I had on like a t-shirt and Irma leggings maybe, and I was talking to you about personal styling. You might be a little bit hesitant to take my advice because I haven't established that rapport. Like if people want to emulate you, like you want to be someone, like think of Lindsay Wheeler. Like everyone wants to be Lindsay Wheeler because look at her Instagram. Like everywhere on social media, she's cute, she's styled, she provides value, she's that image, right? So if you want to be a stylist, present yourself like one. So post photos of you on social media, not just wearing LuLaRoe, we all know that's important, but also how to style it. So don't just put on a Carly, tie it in all the different ways. Be innovative, put on a Julia under a Carly and tie it. That's super cute because you get like the Cassie peekaboo and the arm peekaboo. So if you can kind of get in the habit of not just wearing LuLaRoe in its original form, but getting creative with it, then your customers will see that and say, oh my gosh, I never would have thought of that. And it's like, okay, you're popping up in their mind as someone who is that innovator and that stylist, okay? Go live in your group and explain what a styling appointment is. And guys, the first time you implement these into your business, your customers might be a little bit hesitant. Just expect that it's not gonna go well the first time. And don't give up though, because customers, first of all, they're really slow to learn and catch on. And statistics have shown that people need to be shown something 3 times in 3 different ways. So people are visual learners, they're like they need to hear the information from a live and then they want to see it in writing. So always remember, if you try something once and it doesn't go over well, persistency and consistency is the key to success. So don't give up, just remember that. Okay, so next key to success for personal styling is to be a specialist, not a salesman. So a salesman is like, think of a car salesman. They spend all of their time talking and they load you up with like data and statistics and TMI and all of this information that you didn't even ask for. Like if you walk into a car dealership and they're like trying to sell you on a car and they don't even know if you walked in the door to buy a car, you could have just had to use the restroom, you know. So a specialist is someone who spends 30% of their time talking only after they've spent 70% of their time listening. So a specialist is someone who knows how to ask really, really good questions to seek to understand who it is they are serving. So when that's translating that into personal styling, a salesman will get on Facebook Live and describe the clothes. Okay, this is the modal material, it's stretchy, it's kind of like an army green, it's size extra, extra small. Anybody can be a salesman, a LuLaRoe salesman. But to be a specialist, you are changing their perspective and you're not just describing the clothes, you are showing them how the clothes are going to add value into their lives. So you're creating a dialogue of how their lifestyle is going to be changed, or like how they can see that piece of LuLaRoe clothing, how it can be worn Monday through Sunday in more than one capacity. Because the number one reason why old pieces don't sell from your inventory is because customers have a really hard time. Even as retailers, sometimes we have a hard time making outfits. So imagine for like the average person who's not surrounded by clothing all day, like it's really hard for them to visualize how this Dorito Amelia is gonna look good on them. But if you style it properly, and you show them 10 different ways to wear that Dorito Amelia, well then they're gonna get value out of it and it's gonna be someone's cup of tea. So if you guys are coming here today struggling with sitting on stale or old inventory, my challenge to you is to look at it and ask yourself, how would someone be able to wear this in more than one capacity? Okay, so once we have, to be able to seek to understand, we have to ask good questions, right? So how I do that for personal styling is through a questionnaire. And I personally create a Google Doc, just like a checkout form. And I didn't get to elaborate on this on convention, so I hope to be able to today. So what you want to put on the questionnaire is an overview of what to expect and how it works, right? So I explained to them all of the benefits for booking a personal stylist, styling appointment. Because remember, like Terry said, we have to put the emphasis on what's in it for them. So the benefit is no leaving your home. If you're going to do it on Facebook Live, you don't have to leave their home. No traveling to a pop-up. No sorting through endless albums. No having to figure out, oh, does this go with this? Like, all of that work is done for them, right? They get first dibs on any of the pieces in their styling appointment, so they don't have to fight anyone up for it on Facebook Live. It's catered to their specific style. So if they like darker colors, if they like florals, like, it's very specific to them. So it's a very personalized and tailored service, which is awesome. And then lastly, there's no obligation. You're doing this as a free service because you love your customers so much. Okay, so a brief overview of what to expect and how it works. You, of course, want to ask their sizes, not just their LuLaRoe sizes and the styles that you carry, but also ask them their dress and pant size, because sometimes they may not know what size Carly they are, and from their dress size, we can figure that out for them. What prints and colors are they drawn to? Do they like bold prints, or do they like subtle prints? Do they like neutral colors or bright colors? And then what are their go-to pieces and outfits? So I want to know, for date night, what do they typically wear out? And then for their everyday, what are they comfortable wearing? So if someone tells me she is a t-shirt and jeans kind of girl, I'm not going to put as many Amelias in her capsule, right? But if I know she's like New York City chic and she loves getting like glam and, you know, wants to go out for a night on the town, I'm going to do less Irmas and leggings. What do they do for a living? This is so important, and you wouldn't necessarily think to ask this because it's not related to clothes whatsoever. But the reason it is important is because when we are describing and presenting the capsule collection to them, we can basically tell them, okay, so if we know that they're a teacher, a kindergarten teacher, for example, we can, it'll allow us to describe a maxi skirt, not just like as a floral maxi skirt, but we'll be able to tell them, oh my gosh, you can sit, when you're teaching and you're sitting cross-legged on the floor with your kids, you can wear the maxi skirt. You can't necessarily do that with the Cassie skirt. Or if you know that they're a stay-at-home mom and they want clothing that is going to make them feel put together, because, you know, as a mom, it's really easy to feel like a hot mess all the time. So if you know that about them, then maybe throw some gorgeous Carly dresses that are a lot easier to wear and are more appropriate for their sense of lifestyle. And then what are they hoping to gain out of their styling appointment? You'll get Lula addicts, but you'll also get people who are completely new to LuLaRoe, and they're hoping for either staple pieces that they can implement, or they are planning for an event and they really want like a statement outfit to wear. So I always ask for a link to their Pinterest board, so that way it's really easy for me to get a visual of what they're drawn to. It's also a really great opportunity if you have a Pinterest business page to say, oh, and then you can follow me on Pinterest. And then lastly, I just added this in. At the end of my questionnaire, I add an acknowledgement. And this is kind of like my catch-all, and it releases the guilt off of me. And I know a lot of you guys have this hesitation, which is, what if I don't have, I'm worried about my inventory not supporting doing a styling appointment. What if I don't have solids, or what if I don't have the colors that they like in their sizes? So I have them check a box, and it basically says, by checking this box, you are basically giving me creative control and allowing me to exercise my eye for pattern mixing. I'm assuming if you're a host, or if you're trusting me to style you, that you want me to use my judgment. I will, of course, always do my best to provide you, like, I want to give you the best capsule possible for your sense of style. However, I will pull your capsule collection it's dependent on what I have in stock. So I cannot make any guarantees of solids or specific prints, but of course I will do my absolute best. And then at the end it says, I understand, I trust you, style me, Monica. So that is how I kind of So that way I know if they, like, because I've been talking to a lot of retailers, and that is like a big hesitation is, oh, I'm so scared, or people spend hours on wholesale boards because they're preparing for a personal styling appointment, and she loves florals, and they want to give her all the florals, and it's like, of course, everyone wants all the florals, but that is a total time suck and not an income-producing activity at all. You have to be willing to work with what you have, so that is kind of my way around that. Okay, so once we've gathered the information from the questionnaire, it's time to pull a capsule collection. And this is different than just individual outfits. So I pulled 12 to 15 pieces of items that coordinate with one another. So in the same kind of color palette, same sort of sense of style, so that by the time I'm done, she has maybe 20 or 30 outfits to wear from those 12 to 15 pieces. And again, we're shooting for value here. I usually start with layering pieces. For the first piece that I pick, it's usually a Julia or a classic tee. And that is because if you think about it, the Julia can be worn on its own, it can be worn under the Harvey, it can be worn under all of the skirts, it can be, you can put a Carly over it, a perfect tee over it, so it's kind of like that piece that you build all the other pieces around. And then the classic tee is super versatile as well because you can tie it over all the dresses, you can wear it with all of your skirts, and so that's kind of where I start, and then from there I just keep adding on. Okay, if I pick a Julia, what joy will go with Julia? What perfect tee can I put over the Julia? And what leggings can I find to go with that perfect tee? And what Cassie can I find to go with that perfect tee? And what joy is going to go with this Cassie over here? So it's kind of, it does take some time, but remember, if you spend quality time and quality energy on this, you're going to establish that rapport, and once your customers watch you styling everyone else, they will see and hopefully find value in what you're doing. And it took probably, I want to say I did about 8 styling appointments, and I was spending so much time and energy, and I was like, oh gosh, I don't know if I'm going to be able to keep this up, because I was spending, I don't know, a good 45 minutes to an hour sometimes pulling these capsules, which that's really time consuming. And then a customer bought her entire collection, and it was 18 pieces. And it just knocked me on my butt. And then the next day, or the next week, originally I did them Monday and Thursday. The following Monday, 2 people bought their whole collection that day. And I think I had 6 appointments, and the other people bought 6 pieces, 8 pieces. I went live on the free-for-all round with selling pieces then. So it may not be right away, but if you can really put that time and energy, it will pay off. So, okay. If you're not familiar with pattern mixing, educate yourself. So go on Pinterest, follow LuLaRoe, people on Instagram to get some styling inspiration. That's what I do. I see Laura, one of my teammates, wearing something cute. I'm like, oh, light bulb moment. So don't feel like you have to figure it all out on your own. There's plenty of opportunities to learn how to style it if that's not your forte. Okay, so I kind of went over the dialogue for presenting the collection. Don't be a salesman so it's important, of course, to describe the fabrics and the stretchiness and the color, but more importantly, I want to paraphrase the words that they used on their questionnaire. So she told me that she's a stay-at-home mom and she's tired of feeling like a hot mess, well then usually I'll hop on live in that awkward time where I'm waiting for them to tune in. I'm like, hi, oh my gosh, I'm so excited to style Lisa today. For those of you who are just tuning in, Lisa just left her job in corporate America, woo! And I know on her questionnaire, and I'll see she hopped on, and I'll acknowledge her, and I'll say, oh my gosh, Lisa, I had so much fun reading your questionnaire. I totally relate about X, Y, and Z. And what that does, so I could easily hop on and say, okay, we're gonna get styled and show her the clothes. But now Lisa knows I actually took the time to read what she had to say, right? And it builds that relationship. And remember in the beginning I was talking about how important it is to be able to do that online when it's not face-to-face. So listening, it's kind of like you teach your children like to listen, or like you need to listen to me, husband. Same thing with your customers. So once you're done creating your capsule, it is time to go live. And when you're first starting out, let's say you have nobody interested. Has anyone tried personal styling and it hasn't gone well? Okay, so hopefully it has some ideas for you. If it hasn't gone well, go live and style a fake person. And I'm not kidding. You can call her Suzanne. And I'm not even kidding you. So go live and say, hey, this is a styling appointment for Suzanne. She wasn't able to catch on live, so she's going to watch the replay. And have your teammates go, and start styling. But people will tune in and see it, and they'll be intrigued as to what is happening. It's good practice, and it gets your exposure out there. So if you have nobody interested, it's not an excuse. You can do that, okay? The second thing you can do is start a team post in your team page for anyone who's interested in implementing personal styling appointments, and style each other live in your groups. Okay, and do that for 3, 5, 7, 10 different team members if you have to. And that way you're getting someone guaranteed to be on your live interacting with you. And your other team members will know, oh, okay, Catherine's gonna start doing styling at 2 o'clock, let me tune in and support her. So if you're looking for that support, that's another great idea. Style your mom, your sister. You don't have to call her mom. You can just call her by her first name. Your best friend. So the goal here, if you guys are struggling with personal styling and getting the ball rolling, is you have to do it. I challenge you at least 10 times. At least 10 times. And if by that time, every single time you go live, explain to your, don't assume that people know what you're doing. Play dumb. Repeat yourself over and over. A lot of my girls on my team say, oh, I'm just so scared of being repetitive or being pushy or in their face. Just assume that people have not seen what you've posted in the past. Because trust me, people have their own lives. They're not stalking you. And so every time you're live, explain what you're doing. This is a styling appointment for so-and-so. If you're interested, I'd be more than happy to style you. Here's how you can contact me. I have openings this date, so forth and so on and so forth. Okay, another suggestion is to reach out to your most loyal customers. And a team member did this, and I was like, oh, that's so brilliant. She reached out, so she did the same thing. She posted in her group, didn't get any bites. So she reached out to her, I want to say top 10 loyal customers, and said, hey, so-and-so, because you know those people by name, and they shop with you a lot, so they like you. They should like you. And she said, hey, I'm implementing these personal styling appointments into my business. I'm really excited, but I'm struggling to get the ball rolling. Would you be willing to help me out? There's no obligation. Would you mind just filling out this questionnaire for me to get some good practice? You don't have to buy anything. I would love to be able to do that. And if they're going to say, of course, yeah, sure, whatever. And so she said from doing that, she's been reaching out to 10 of her most loyal people. I think 8 agreed, and every single person she styled bought something from the styling appointment. Because why not? You're sitting there for 30 minutes and you're again, they're getting those light bulb moments, and you're showing them how something can be worn in 10 different ways. That's not a want, that is now a need. You need that piece. Okay? So after you go live and style someone in your group, which I recommend doing that as opposed to doing a private FaceTime, because people like to voyeur in on what you're doing. And people are going to get that Facebook Live notification, or they're going to watch the replay, and they're going to say, what the heck is she doing? So after you go live in your group, what I do is, so the person I'm styling gets first dibs on those pieces. Okay, and then anything that they did not claim, I put up again, I go live again, and do a free-for-all round. So if I have 5 appointments for the day, I'll do all 5 of those styling appointments, and let's say, okay, I pull all of the sold pieces, and then I still have a rack of, let's say, 50 pieces that are left over. Well, if those 5 people that I styled might not be interested, but maybe my group of thousands of people would be interested, right? So then I go live again, and I call it the free-for-all round, open claiming, feel free to, it's just a live sale, and then it's kind of like an outfit sale. You can show them, very briefly, hey guys, I styled so-and-so today. If you guys want some styling inspiration and more information on how these pieces go together, be sure to check out that past video. And then I go through and sell the items one by one. And that is upselling, because now I've then not just taken advantage of the styling opportunity, but now I'm taking those pieces and selling it in a completely different way to different people. So that is the key to the free-for-all round. Creating a style community. Okay, so that is another big benefit to styling appointments, is you'll start to see if you can be consistent with this. So I do it every single Thursday. Every single Thursday. So now my group knows that every Thursday is style day, and they'll be stalking the page at 9:59 a.m. Monica, are you live yet? Refreshing, because they want to watch me while they drink coffee, or they want to watch what crazy stuff Javi says in the live. But it's a community, and they get to know the other people who are interested in styling, and people will watch, even if it's not their size, just to get that outfit inspiration. And that is your opportunity to interact, not just with who you're styling, but the other people who may be joining. So if you see them come in, acknowledge them by name and say, hey, so-and-so, we're just doing a styling appointment for Karen over here. What are you doing, girl? What are you doing on right now? Are you working? What are you doing? And they'll get to know each other. So a really great way for building that group engagement. And then for those of your customers who do purchase from your styling appointments, those are your most loyal VIPs. Those are your most loyal customers, so make sure to spoil them. I go to Charlotte Russe and stock up on like the 2 for $10 cheap jewelry. You can go to the jewelry show in New Orleans and get, like, around the holidays and get a ton of cheap jewelry. So I throw in a necklace that matches their collection. I'll personally handwrite a thank you card with a Starbucks gift card. I bought these little scratchers, and it says thank you for your loyalty, and it has like different like coupons and stuff that they can use. But it's just so flattering, because remember, like, some people will save up. Like, I had one customer who said, I literally did not get any gifts for my birthday. I asked for people to donate to my styling appointment and to spend the money with me, right? So that is like a really, really big deal. If someone buys their whole collection, I always give them at least 1 piece for free, and it's whatever Sarah's in their capsule, for sure. So great. Definitely encourage you guys to implement and try these personal styling appointments. Just remember, be consistent and persistent. Don't give up, and be creative. If something doesn't work, try it in a different way. Okay, so styling appointments are absolutely an income-producing activity. So we're going to go ahead and segue into the next topic, and that is what we're going to talk about, is IPAs. So IPAs are income-producing activities. So the goal with this is to be productive, not busy. And how many of you feel like by the end of the day, you were doing stuff all day, but nothing got done, or you didn't sell a single thing? Everyone, right? So the key with income-producing activities is to keep it simple and not overcomplicate it. Otherwise, the result is overwhelm and frustration in what you're doing. So you might have heard this before. I'm just going to tell you again, this is a doing business. It's not a thinking business. It's not a planning business. It's not an if or when or how. Like, those are important, but that is not what makes your business run, and it's not what makes you money. So one of my favorite terms, I think I learned it at leadership, was someone was talking about having paralysis by analysis. And it's so true, especially for you golds out there who have to have every single detail planned out in your spreadsheet up to date by the second. Just gonna let you know, you gotta let it go. Something's gotta give. You can do anything, but you cannot do everything, or you can do everything, but you can't do anything well. So what kind of person do you wanna be? I wanna be really good at making money through my income-producing activities. My spreadsheet, meh, that might be my orange and me. But still, really, really important. So be a learn-it-all, but just be careful. Ask yourself, are you using that as a crutch? It's really good to get inspiration from others and to learn like we're doing today. But then when you go home from this training, just start implementing them into your business. Not necessarily spend an hour messaging someone about, oh, hey, are you thinking about trying this? Like, go out and do it and then talk about what you learned from it. I don't even know if this is appropriate to share, but small group. So I did a training, and someone said, so things that are an income-producing activity. So, for example, making YouTube videos would be an income-producing activity, but watching YouTube videos for hours on end is not, right? And she's like, I struggle with inspiration porn. Like, oh my God, that's exactly what it is. Like, people are just addicted to that. So try not to plan too much. And then every day I hit the reset button and adjust my priorities based on what has to be done that day. So for those of you who plan your month in advance, I do that. I have a goal and I write it in my LuLaRoe planner. And on the top, like, you know how it has a sidebar in your planner. So at the top, I'll write what my income goal for sales is that month. And I'll break it down and to how many sales, what types of sales I need to do to hit that goal. So if I know if I'm doing X amount of styling appointments, that's going to equate to probably this much. If I do an album sale, it'll be this much. This many pop-ups will be this much. But you have to be able to readjust. If it's halfway through the month and you're behind on your goal, time to adjust. So that means that whatever was on your planner, you have to, if you want to still hit your goal, you have to be willing to scratch that original plan to be able to throw in some more income-producing activities to get there. So, questions to ask yourself before you start working, and this is just specific to work activities, not just everyday activities, is, does this create joy? So, Doug was talking about like the $10 an hour tasks, shipping, invoicing. Does it create joy? I understand it needs to be done, but ask yourself that. Does it create income? And is this an investment for future income? So things that may not necessarily generate income now, but it's an investment in the money that you're able to make in the future. And then if the answer is no, maybe reevaluate. Okay, so now I have a list of examples of what is an income-producing activity versus what is not. So income-producing activity is an album sale. Non-IPA, I'm just going to abbreviate. Non-IPA is photographing. Doesn't make you money. An IPA is doing a live sale. Non-IPA is shipping. IPA, flat lays and wall drops, so typing that up and posting them to the wall, but invoicing for them, not so much. Ordering inventory is an IPA. That is an investment for future income. Strolling the wholesale boards for unicorns is not an IPA for hours. Posting on your business social media accounts, totally an IPA. Instagram is fun, that's fun, and guess what, it totally builds your business, so do that, definitely. Every morning wake up and post to your Instagram, sync it to Facebook, all that. But scrolling on your social media accounts is not an IPA. Getting too creative to sell what you have while you're waiting for new inventory to come is an IPA. Spending your time that day driving somewhere to swap with your inventory with other retailers is not an IPA, when you could be spending that time showing it and getting those eyes on your product like Kim was talking about. Handing out business cards, IPA. Mowing the lawn, not an IPA. Writing thank you cards with LuLaCash, but cleaning the house is definitely not. Definitely not.
Very convenient.
Fundraisers, IPA. Cooking meals, not an income-producing activity. Sharing the LuLaRoe opportunity, that's definitely an IPA. Doing inventory, not so much. Value-based marketing and YouTube videos, we discussed that. Watching too many inspiration videos, not so much. Building relationships with customers is an IPA. So those PMs back and forth, so you guys probably struggle with this, right? Like, oh my gosh, all of the PMs and the messaging. So you have to ask yourself, is this time being spent? Is this providing value? Is this building my business? Because yes, you want to build those relationships with your customers, but if they are like draining the energy from you and just taking, people will take 100% of what you're willing to give. So you have to be able to draw that line. And so non-IPAs are excessive PMing, email, Marco Polo with your team. Too much, like the random back and forth. So selling, but planning how, when, where, what, who, and why, not so much. Okay, so you get what you tolerate. You guys have heard that. You get what you tolerate. So think about that. I'll share a story. So I want to say it was about 6 months into me being a retailer, I had almost a mental breakdown. I started out in this business very blue. And I was actually a blue-orange, and over time, my orange is kind of like overcompensated for my blue. I was a people pleaser to the max. Like, it was a total problem. I would literally sacrifice everything in order to make people like me, or to make them happy. And the problem was I was also trying to build my business, and I was building a team really quickly, and I was also building a sales business, and I was a new mom, and I was a spouse, and I was also a friend. I was struggling to do it all. And the problem was I was putting what everyone wanted from me above what I needed and what was best for myself, my own sanity, and my family. And it almost broke me. And I made a YouTube video about it. That's like really embarrassing. I cried. But what I learned from that is it's really hard to do this business well. It's really hard, and it's gonna require a lot of difficult conversations and things that are not fun. Like telling people no, requirement for success. Is that easy? No. I felt so, like it was, especially if you're a people pleaser, you guys. But you have to ask yourself, what's more important? This person's perception of me, which I cannot control. I literally, even if I want them to like me, if I want to make them happy, there's not even a guarantee that I get that's in my power, because it's not. So I'm letting that become more important over what I want and need and what I'm trying to do. So your energy is precious and it's so valuable. Don't let people take that away from you, because that's energy that you can put into your styling appointments. That's energy that you can put into your kids and quality time with your spouse and your friends. So, yeah, people are willing to take 100% of what you're willing to give. So set expectations with people. Your customers, set business hours. Set business hours if you're a workaholic, total workaholic. It's really hard. I don't always stick to them, but I try to. Expectations for your customers. I tell them, it's in my pin post, I don't respond to PMs and emails and thread comments over the weekends or at night. That's when I'm putting my kid to bed, or I'm, spending time. Like, I can't guarantee that I'll be able to respond instantly. If you respond, IPA, so try to focus more on being intentional and less reactive. So if a PM, like that dinging thing that happens when people message you, just turn it off. I get super squirrely when that happens. If I'm doing a task, if I'm in the middle of whatever income producing activity and my phone rings, ask Lisa Corville. I've ignored her call like 100 times because I cannot answer the phone and also continue what I'm doing. So any sort of so try not to click on the red Facebook notifications. Don't open the messages right away. And what will happen is your customers will expect that and respect you more for it. I struggled a lot too once I started to make that transition as far as putting up boundaries. I would apologize for not getting back to them immediately. But I was like sleeping. It was 2 a.m. and I was sleeping, and I would apologize. Hey, I'm so sorry, I just got your message. Well, duh, it's 8 a.m. and I just woke up and I haven't even had coffee yet, right? So the reason you don't want to apologize is because then it creates this perception in their eyes that you did something wrong. Yeah, why didn't you respond to my message right away? That's so rude. Like, I expect that of you because you've given it to me in the past. So I challenge you to just own it. So if a customer messages you at even like 6 o'clock at night and you've started cooking the dinner and you're done working, and you check it 24 hours from now or the next day or whenever you open your PMs, say, hi so-and-so, thank you so much for messaging me, and respond to their concern. You don't have to lead with apologizing because you did nothing wrong. You're just honoring your boundaries, and they will do the same by honoring it for you. So that was a huge, huge game changer, lifesaver for me. Okay, so, and last suggestion for staying focused is, and how many of you wake up in the morning and you reach over and grab your phone and you, like this, in bed, and then you accidentally drop the phone on your face and you're like, I deserve that. So a quick fix is just buy a really cheap alarm clock on Amazon and leave your phone plugged into your office overnight. So that way you can leave work in your office, go to bed, wake up, actually look at the ceiling, reflect for a moment, meditate if you do that, and then start your work day. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and move on into delegating. So once we've identified what is an income producing activity, what creates joy, what, like Doug said, what are those $100 an hour tasks, what are those $10 an hour tasks? Because remember, when we first start our business, we have to wear all the hats and we have to do all of the things. That's how we learn, and that's just part of like starting up a business. However, it's important to then identify what we can let go of and what we can't. So, things that we can't let go of, being the face of our business. Like, I am lularoemonicaarce, nobody else can be that, right? But things that I can let go of, shipping, So these are tasks that are non-IPAs that you can delegate, and these are actually some that I took from the job listing that I put up. So I thought, the first thing that I did when I knew that I needed help is ask myself, like, okay, well, what would this person be doing? So shipping, they can monitor sold and replay comments. Filtering through my email, so maybe I want to remain the voice of my business, right? That's really important, because if someone else writes my email, it's not going to sound like me, but they can at least filter my inbox, and so they'll be able to like move all my receipts to the appropriate folder or put urgent messages in an appropriate folder. Anything that doesn't need a personal touch, if it's an invoicing issue, perhaps they can manage that. Doing inventory, counting inventory, keeping track of all of your lovely spreadsheets. Can you tell I like spreadsheets? Photographing, packaging and folding, processing returns and damages, invoicing, creating your sign-ups for styling appointments, processing giveaways, and anything behind the scenes to help during live sales. When I talk to people who are hesitant to hiring help and delegating, there's usually two big resistors. And the first one is, I can't give up control. Anyone struggle with control issues? That is usually the biggest concern. And then B, well, I can't afford it. I just can't afford it. So how I would not argue back with you, or how I would rationalize and change your focus and thinking around that. So in regards to having control issues, nobody's going to do it the way that you do it, and you do it the best. It's just the truth. However, if you do it, there is a max capacity at you doing all the things the way that you do it. There is a ceiling. And when you let go of control, your ceiling becomes higher and broader. Okay? So you just have to be okay with that and letting go of doing that. Something that helps me if I am struggling with a fear, because that's a fear, the fear of letting go of complete control. So the way that I combat fear is fighting fear with logic. So I create a pros and cons list. And I also think about, like, well, what is the worst case scenario? What is, like, the worst thing that could happen? Like, because we all think of, like, the worst case. Oh, no, like, if I hire an assistant, they're going to have my bill login, and they're going to order all this inventory, and they're going to steal my identity, and they're going to transfer all the money to their bank account, and it's going to be terrible. I'm like, okay, they're probably just going to want to make a few extra dollars to, buy their family dinner. But, okay, I guess, sure, that could potentially happen. What would happen if that worst case scenario did actually occur? So you would call LuLaRoe, explain to them the situation. You could call your bank, tell them it was fraud. They're going to put a provisional, like, you have all of these things. Is that the worst case scenario, dealing with that, it'll be a headache, sure, for maybe a week or so, let's say that worst case scenario. But what about all the potential? Are you willing to take that risk? Or are you willing to leave all of this potential behind? So, and then what was the other thing I said? So we talked about control issues, and the other one was, I just can't afford it now. So yes, hiring help is a temporary sacrifice and investment for future income benefit. So if you're constantly waiting to hire help until you can afford it, you're never going to hire help. Does that make sense? So you have to be okay with paying out more now, and then, but you're going to reap rewards so much faster, because you're going to be able to get stuff done twice as fast, 3 times as fast, 5 times done as quicker. So if you wait to hire help, it's just going to extend the process so much longer. And people ask me, like, what was the one thing, if you could go back in time knowing what you knew now, I would have hired help from the very beginning. But I couldn't, obviously, because you need to go through the steps of learning for yourself. But okay. So the type of help that is available or to consider. The first thing that I got help with is childcare. So I mentioned that I had my baby right after I launched. When he was 3 months old, we got a nanny, and I know that's not feasible for a lot of people. However, there's alternatives as well. You can there's mom's day out childcare, and I know that's really affordable. There's daycare. Even if it's just like a few hours a day, hiring a babysitter, that's let's say you pay them $10 an hour, that's $30 a day. And for those of you who are moms who have small children, It's like before you have company over, you clean your house quicker than you ever have in your entire life. Same thing, if your kid's gone for 3 hours, you are gonna make those 3 hours count. So what is the cost of that expense versus all of that time it frees up to be able to do those income producing activities? It may be costing you $500 a month to have that childcare, to have that help or that assistance. But you're going to, if you're making $3,000 in sales from that, that's $500 profit. So I would kind of look at it from less of what you're going to spend versus what you're going to gain in profit instead. Okay, so childcare, getting a nanny or help daycare. You can find people who can help remotely, so like a virtual assistant. People don't have to be in your home to be able to manage your email inbox or to do invoicing. You can get someone to help in person, and this can be, there's so many options. Like people have friends and family who come over to help, like hang clothes. It's fun for them, and also they view it as quality time, and they'll be paid in clothes. So that's a really great opportunity. You can get a meal service. Oh my God, I hate cooking. I hate it so much. So there's Blue Apron, and what's the other one? HelloFresh. There's also like meal prep services, and again, think about it in this is how I justify it. Okay, I may be spending $60 a week on food, but it would take me like a good hour and a half to cook, and then cleaning the dishes, like, no, I could do a live sale and make so much money, it's worth $60, right? So hiring a bookkeeper instead of doing your own accounting. Hiring a house cleaner, you guys, you can find people to clean your house for $50 once a month, and the energy and that time that you're spending deep cleaning your whole house, that time you could spend into your business far outweighs that $50 expense. Getting someone to mow your lawn, and then last but not least, your spouse is, and we're going to talk about that a little bit more, like spouse involvement. But your spouse can help with your children, or your spouse can help in the business as well. So where to find these people? You can look on care.com. That's a really good one because you don't necessarily need to have someone in your business. So if you're struggling with the control, letting go of control, still continue to do your business. But if you can help have them work on like that task of like they can watch your kids so you can spend more time in your business. Your local community Facebook groups. And let's see, there's mom groups on Facebook, word of mouth. You can just post it on your personal Facebook and make it public and ask for your friends and family to share if they know of anyone. And also you can post in your VIP group, especially if you have a lot of locals. They're familiar with your business, they know who you are, they'll want to help. Okay, so last but not least, I just wanted to talk a little bit about spouse involvement because this is something that actually means a lot to me, because I'll tell you what. When I first started, I came to Josh, and you have to remember I dabbled in all the things that didn't work, right? So how do you think it went when I came to him and I was like, so I'm going to spend $6,000 on clothes, and it's going to be great. He was a little bit hesitant. This was never my husband's dream, okay? So yes, your spouse can help with the business, and if they're wanting to, that is fantastic. That is such a great help. However, your spouse or partner may help with the business, like doing the live sales and being your bookkeeper or whatever. They can also help support outside of your business by picking up the slack. So like that's kind of how my husband fits in. He helps me if I want to do a live sale at night or work late. He'll take care of bedtime and cleaning and doing all of those things that I slack on because I'm focused on that. But you also may have a partner that has doesn't want to have anything to do with it. And I just want to tell you that is okay too. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because, especially if you attend a lot of the LuLaRoe functions, there tends to be a lot of spotlight on those partnerships and those marriages who are 50-50, who are in the business, and the partner comparison trap is real. It is. I can't tell you how many times I saw husbands who were on the live sales and who were, oh, I take care of the invoicing for my wife, and I looked at Josh and I was like, well, when are you going to start doing that? And it was really, I was frustrated because I was seeing other people's spouses doing that, and he was frustrated because he's like, I didn't sign up for this is all you, and it created this and harbored this resentment. So I'm just here to talk about this taboo topic because it's okay if you have that dynamic. That doesn't mean that your husband doesn't love you or your partner or spouse or whoever doesn't love you. They just may be able to support you in different ways. And one of my best friends taught me this, is that we tend to focus on the 20% of things that our partner or whoever isn't doing, rather than focusing on the 80% of qualities that they do for us. We always nitpick the things that they aren't doing, like always, right? So the breaking point is when I realized that I was trying so hard to make my husband make this his dream, and it's my dream. And he does a really dang good job of supporting me in my dream, but this may not be their dream. Support them in what lights their soul on fire. So, just wanted to share that with you. Okay. Oh, and then last but not least, if you do have a spouse who isn't as involved, or if you're going at this alone, maybe you don't have a partner, that doesn't mean you can't be successful. It just means you have to find support in other ways. So even more important, so for me, it was important that I found that help outside of just putting all of the childcare on Josh, right? So that really helped. But then also, Josh is agreeing. I'm a talker. I'm a verbal processor. I need to verbally process all of my emotions and use someone as a sounding board. For a long time, I was using my husband like that, and there's only so much that he could take. So when I learned to find someone else who could fill that role, your spouse, your partner does not need to be everything for you. They can't be everything for you, but they can be remember why it is that why you love them, and acknowledge them for that. And so maybe finding other support, so finding an accountability partner, plugging in with your team more, and finding that person that you can talk through things. That is absolutely okay and will not determine your success. So that's all I have. Thank you